Well, greetings everyone, and welcome to a very special online event today. It's called Activate Your Third Eye for a Shift to Bliss. Energy medicine tools for attuning the pineal gland to embody presence, awe, and insight. My name is Stephen Dine. I'm the founder and president of the Shift Network, and I'm always thrilled to be exploring the frontiers of our evolution, awakening, and healing. And we're getting to do so with a really fascinating teacher who's got a lot of depth of experience and precise understanding of how to do some remarkable things with our energy field and our system. His name is Tyler Odysseus. He's a senior quantum touch instructor and trainer, as well as retreat facilitator. He's taught quite a number of programs for Shift now, and today rolling out some things that he's sort of privately taught to people for 10 years, but is now sort of publicly bringing forward for the first time in a venue like this. So Tyler, thank you so much for joining us here today.
Thank you so much, Stephen. It's always a pleasure seeing you and doing something really fun through Shift Network. And I'm just really glad to be here and to launch this, publicly to everybody. It's time. Yeah.
Great. Well, let's first of all, before we dive into what the it is, let's learn a little bit more about your journey, since I think you have a really kind of unique path that led you to approach energy healing in a very precise way, which I think is so helpful. So, we're going to share a little bit about what propelled you to dedicating your work, your life to energy healing work.
You know, I could always see energy as a child, and I was so lucky that my parents were perfectly fine with that, and they just accepted it when I said I would see different energy fields and things. And then it kind of got tucked away, for a part of schooling and whatnot. But when I woke it up about 16 years ago, it was back in 2 weeks. And that's when I just did a deep dive into every form of energy work that I could uncover. And I mastered 5 energy modalities, and I've since launched and founded 2 energy modalities, one of them very recently, that I had been planning for a long time, as you mentioned in the beginning. And it's just been really powerful learning both the yin side of energy work, the softer, allowing, opening side, as well as the yang, sending energy kind of side of energy work. And when you blend those two together, you can get really precise and powerful results. And when you blend that in with precision feeling and feeling yourself, you can just open into a state of presence much more easily than people imagine. And that in and of itself is healing. And that's how I've been building this, just constantly training and seeing what works the best and inventing year after year. And this is the pinnacle.
Hmm.
Right, I'm going to show you guys here today. Yeah.
Well, as we dive into that, first you kind of talked about precision feeling, which I think is an interesting concept. Do you want to share a little bit more about what you mean by that and how that feeds into this particular work?
Right. So whenever something happens in life, whether it's positive, medium, or negative, there's actually a precise feeling that you have right now. And what happens usually is people are feeling something kind of next to it when they think about what they want to feel. Even if it's something negative, they aren't feeling the precise negative feeling that they have. They're feeling something kind of adjacent. And or they start to feel and they immediately go into mental rumination. And in this case, what I've found is that if you can find the precise feeling, which is much easier than you might think, and just allow yourself to sense that for maybe 10 seconds, it releases it so easily. And then very quickly, you do a few rounds of that, and you can get through something that might otherwise have literally taken weeks or even a month to get through. You can get through in just a few minutes. And that's tremendously powerful to get yourself on a really positive emotional track. But in addition, if you add that technique into your healing work, physical stuff, whether it's for yourself or for someone else, it amplifies the power. It's an amplifier. It's an exponential multiplier to the power of your energy work. And that's where it starts to tiptoe you towards presence as well, almost as a side benefit.
Hmm.
Yeah.
That's truly fascinating. So it's almost like the feeling can't release until it's gotten the message fully across, and you can't get the message fully across until you really understand exactly what it is what I'm hearing.
Yeah. But it's in a sort of exploratory way. So if you have a feeling that's here right now, like even you right this second have a feeling, everybody does, doesn't necessarily have to be a super powerful feeling. It's the feeling of, yeah, I'm doing this, awesome thing with Tyler right now. That's your feeling, but there's a precision to it, right? So if you find that precision, and I would invite the audience to try it now, just feel for a second, what is it you've got right now? And it's a physical thing in your body. It's a body feeling. If you find the precision of it and you just allow yourself to experience it for even a few seconds, all of a sudden everything starts to open, and it can express itself and it either comes into harmony or it leaves. So,
And so part of what's happening a lot of times is that we're moving away from the full precise feeling, and then that
yeah,
keeps things stuck, it sounds like.
what we're doing typically is you start to feel it, and then your mind says, "Oh, there's a feeling that's strong. Let's think about the feeling," which of course isn't feeling, right? That's thinking. So, no, I want to feel it instead. So then they feel something. People tend to feel something that's like next to it. It's like similar, but it's not the actual feeling. And it
Hmm.
doesn't take much to just be like, well, what is the actual feeling? Can I sense that? And then once you do, it's like a magic trick. It just starts to release so quickly once you allow yourself to do it in that way.
So why is this work with precision feeling necessary to a third eye activation where you can start to operate at some higher frequencies?
It's a booster, right? So we're going to do a technique here for everybody where we do a technique that will open your third eye and your intuition and stuff like that. But the more of these boosters you can bring in simultaneously, the more powerful your energy work, the more powerful your presence, so on and so forth. So is now a good time to
Yeah.
try that out? Okay. So in this technique, what we're going to do is we're going to take a big deep breath, and then we're going to blow our breath out of our mouth. And why would I say out of our mouth, even though the nose is such a popular thing to breathe through? Well, because I want to keep those insides of your nose very sensitive so that as you inhale, you're brushing the little tiny cilia in your nose up, up, up through a slow inhale breath. And then you're going to move your awareness slowly straight back all the way to your pineal gland. Your pineal gland is way back here, and it's kind of a pine cone shaped gland. And in humans, it's considered to be a vestigial organ, right? Like we don't use it. However, we do use it. This is an organ that whales use, for example, to navigate in the ocean. And we have the same gland, and this is where our intuition comes from, among other places. There's a gut center of the intuition as well, but we're going to open the one up in the brain. So try this with me for a second. Here we go. Take a big deep breath. Here we go. Through your mouth. And now blow it out the mouth. Push all your air out. Hold a slight smile and begin inhaling through your nose. Here we go. And out the mouth. And right there feels pretty good. At first, you don't have to move your awareness all the way back. You can just feel the sensations of your nostrils a couple more times with me. Even if you don't breathe as long as I just did on the inhale, you can do a few short ones. So let's try a couple short ones. Take a breath in through your mouth and blow it out, holding a smile. Breathe in through your mouth, blow it out, holding a smile. Push as much air out as you can. Now breathe in as slow as you can through your nose. Feeling the air brushing against your nostrils. Keep inhaling, keep going. Now float your awareness back as far as you can. And then finish your breath and relax and exhale. We'll do one more. Now, this next time, what we're going to do is we're going to breathe in through the nose all the way to the pineal gland, and then we're going to breathe out the nose while thinking about the pineal gland. So let's try this. You have this little pine cone shaped thing back here. Here we go. 2 deep breaths. Blow it out. And another one, holding that smile again. And blow it out. And now inhale through your nose up into the brain. Keep going back to the brain, back into the brain, through your nose, and then let it go out the mouth. Now, if you'll look around the room, you might notice that the room is already a little brighter. Imagine what would happen if you did this for, say, 20 minutes. And you'll have this recording so you can try this again. You're breathing in through your nose very slowly, gradually moving your awareness up to your pineal. And on the last breath, but you could do this maybe every fifth breath or so, you exhale out the nose and you imagine that you're blowing on an ember in your brain, and that that ember is the pineal gland. And that as you blow consistently on this ember, it glows brighter and brighter. And now, last but not least, we're going to move our awareness up our nose, up to the pineal, and then forwards just behind the forehead, right where the third eye lies. Let's try this. Here we go. Big deep breath. Blow it out your mouth. Very slowly in your nose, floating your awareness back to the brain. And now curving forwards towards your third eye. There you go. And if you look around, the room typically looks a little bit brighter. And that's a sign that your third eye is more open. This breathing, this third eye breathing, prepares you to do healing work. In fact, it's not just about intuition. This exact state and this breath through the nose, we're going to use this again in a minute as I show you a healing technique that you can use on yourself right here, right today, or others. So how'd you like that, Stephen?
This is great. Yeah. So I like definitely things get brighter and energized in a different way. So
Yeah.
what all do you notice as people do that in terms of their own energy field? How are we shifting things in our energy field?
Well, first of all, your field starts to glow a little bit and expand. You'll see the auric field get a little bit wider, a little bit brighter. It tends to clear things out, and it tends to make people feel really blissed out. In fact, I had someone recently telling me that when they were using this technique as they were doing energy work for their clients, that at the end of the session, they felt like they should be paying the client because they felt so happy and blissful afterwards. And this is what happens is you just get this side bonus of feeling really blissful while you work, while you do energy work, whether it's on yourself or someone else. Um, and it really shifts you, and it can shift you all the way down to your toes. It creates a sense of flow in the whole body, not just the top. It opens up your cytoskeleton, flowing that healing juices and energy through your entire body. I do this as a daily practice every morning, just breathing in through the nose like that, right to the pineal gland, and helping that intuition guide me throughout the day. And it improves the energy work.
Yeah, what to say a little bit more about why it improves the energy work? Why is
Well,
accessing that
yeah,
energy
good
state?
point. So this state that you get into, this blissful energetic state, is actually a healing state, and it's a state that you can do energy work on others from. And it's the basis of a lot of ways to do yin energy work from a blissful standpoint. So what you're doing is, instead of sending energy to someone the way you would in a lot of modalities like Reiki, like quantum touch, the bow technique, quantum bow healing, you would always send energy for those modalities from you to your client. It's like a transfer, right? And your client receives the energy and it's like energy food, and that's great. But in this case, what we're doing is we're opening ourselves. And then you're either connecting to a part of your body on which you'd like to work, or you're connecting to a client. And as you continue to open, both through the nose, breathing up to the pineal gland, the blissful state breath, that pineal breath, also referred to as aware brain breathing. Sometimes I refer to it as that. As you continue doing that, you then connect with your client and they entrain to your field and they start to open. And if you're doing this, say, for a shoulder or something, their shoulder starts to become softer energetically. And what they'll report is their pain has gone down or they have more range of motion. And this kind of technique is done so easily for the practitioner because it doesn't require any heavy breathing or fire breathing or really intense work. It's impossible to have anything go wrong. Everything just goes really smoothly and you're just connecting. And what you're doing is you're creating space for change in your client by raising your own vibrational frequency and connecting with them. And then, earlier you asked, how does the precision feeling fit into this? Well, it fits in right there. It slots in right there because as you're doing this breath and you're connecting with your client, you then begin doing a little bit of your own precision feeling about your session that you're in, not about your own personal life, though you could do that, but about what it's like to be in session with the client. And you find the precision feeling of that. And as soon as you do, that's very healing for them as well. And you could also do it if you're working on yourself. You would do this precision feeling while you're already doing the gentle breath up into the pineal. And you combine those two, and it's even more powerful.
Very cool. So it seems like there's a principle of energetic entrainment then, as you lifting your
Yes.
energy, that you're kind of entraining the client energy with you.
Yes. It's like creating a bridge. You create a bridge between you and them. You're raising your vibrational frequency through breathing into the third eye, the pineal gland. Then you're also raising your frequency and opening yourself relative to your own emotional state, which then has them on an energetic level. They do something similar. They don't start to feel their feelings, but they start to kind of open in a relaxed way as you add that in. And it's the most powerful thing that I've uncovered in 16 years of looking at everything under the sun. You know, it's just been it's been amazing.
That's awesome. And so, is it, do you find that some of the feelings that arise once you create this link system are actually you're sort of resonating with their own unexpressed or unfelt feelings?
So that's a pretty advanced way to work. You can do that. You can help other people release emotions. But in this case, it's more that you are making yourself such a bright light, so open, so present, that they then receive a healing just from being in connection with you through your mental awareness on their body in the place where you would like to work. So it's not so much that you're having them feel their feelings or that you're releasing their emotions for them. You could technically do that, but that would be a totally separate technique. What we're doing here is, you're, as the practitioner, when you start to do this precision feeling, you start to get present. And if you want to talk about presence, presence is one of the most healing things on the planet.
Hmm.
Even just meeting someone who dwells in a state of pure presence. Think of someone who is awake, as they call it. Just being in their presence is healing. If they consider your existence, it's healing. And so with this technique, you're transforming yourself into someone, even if it's just temporary, who's in a state of presence for the duration of the healing session, for the duration of your work. And your clients entrain to that, your friends entrain to that, your own body entrains to that. And so now you've got three things going on. You've got the pineal gland vibrating at a higher frequency. You've got the precision feeling going, which is putting you into a state of authenticity. And that is amplifying your sense of presence. And you'll find that you're just, I guess the best word is more strongly in the room. You'll find yourself really here, really powerful. And then you connect with your client, and your client entrains to that, and then they end up in a better state.
That's really cool. How do things shift if you're just doing the work on yourself to sort of metabolize things that haven't been felt or healed yet?
Right, right. So you've got two ways to work with this. If you want to work with your own emotions, you do the precision feeling, and then you follow it up with smiling and gratitude and things like that, because you want to feel the precise precision of the feelings. But sometimes people's feelings, of course, are darker, right? If you're processing grief or something like that, or I don't know, another feeling that is quote unquote darker, right? There's no bad feelings. All feelings are just expressions and sensations in the body. But if you're feeling those things and yet you want to be, let's say in 45 minutes, you want to be in a super positive, upbeat state because, you got some stuff to do today. So what you do is you do a little bit of the precision feeling authentically. You do a few rounds of it, and then you think of everything you're grateful for. And then you do it again, and you think of everything wonderful in your life, and you kind of go like a washing machine back and forth. And then by the end, you're like, oh, I feel lighter, and yet I'm upbeat, right? So you avoid stair stepping yourself down by feeling things that are darker. You kind of dip in and then back up, dip in and then back up, dip in and then back up. And you end up getting rid of a lot of baggage, so to speak, in a very short period of time. And yet your day is really productive. You can go on and do whatever you need to do today, right? So that's the emotional side. if you were working on yourself physically, you could do just the breathing and then connect. I'm going to show you guys a technique in a minute. We'll do it live on the call, where you're working on a part of your body, and that's called the energy pendulum technique. We'll get into that in a minute. You could do that physically on yourself, and then if you added in the precision feeling on top of it, your own work on yourself would just be that much more powerful. So yes, and also just the breathing into the pineal gland is healing in and of itself, but it's not as healing as like very consciously directly working on a part of your body on which you want to work. So if you want to work on your knee or your wrist or something like that, if you do that very consciously, you'll make faster progress. So yeah, it's blissful, but also it's the most powerful thing I've uncovered in 15, 16 years of searching, and I'm bringing it out to people, and you're going to try it right now.
All right. Do you want to dive into, you mentioned the energy pendulum technique?
Yeah. Okay. All right. So here's how this works. So you can, if you have something on your body that has an issue and you want to work on that right now, you can do it right now on the call. And I would just ask that you go ahead and give yourself a little mental rating right now of, if it's in pain or something, how painful is this thing on a scale of 1 to 10? Otherwise, if you don't have anything like that you want to work on, what we're going to do is we'll use one hand and we'll work on the other wrist. And then what you can do is you can turn your wrists in a circle afterwards, and you can feel the difference between the two wrists. So it's a really easy way to say, hey, I just did something to myself energetically because, one wrist is now smoother than the other. So I'm going to use the wrist, but you guys could use anything. You use a wrist or a part of your body or anything you want. So here's how this goes. You take a big, deep breath through your mouth, blow it out, and then breathe in through your nose really slowly up into the pineal. Just get one breath going, and you're now kind of in this blissful state, right? Okay, now take one hand like this, and I want you to hover it over your wrist or a part of your body, and I want you to feel around for like a kind of an energetic sensation. You're trying to connect. Imagine a string from your hand to your wrist, and on the other side is an energetic pendulum that would be hanging on the other side of your wrist. And now see if you can move your hand back and forth like this, and imagine that there's a pendulum underneath swinging like this in opposition, okay? The way you know you've connected it properly is if you back up your hand a little bit, you should feel like a little spreading sensation on your palm. Okay, so back it up. Try that, Stephen. Try backing up a little, find the connection, and see if you can feel like a tugging or a spreading sensation on your palm. You got it going? A
little bit.
Yeah, okay. So that little spreading thing right there is the sensation. You've got it connected. Now what we're going to do is we're going to breathe in through our nose up into the pineal as you kind of tug with the string on the wrist itself or the body part. Okay, so breathe in through your nose slowly up to the pineal while you tug on it, feeling that spreading sensation. And then imagine that the pendulum is going out the other side in the opposite direction. This pendulum has no gravity, so it goes out the opposite direction no matter what. And then go and try a different angle. And the pendulum is always mirroring the other side. Breathe in through your nose again. Each time you breathe in through your nose, you tug a little bit. You may start to feel sensations in your wrist. Okay, and now let's go back and forth. Move the hand back and forth and just feel that movement of the pendulum underneath in opposition. So my hand's going this way, the pendulum's swinging this way. Okay, now let's try it again. Let's try pulling again. Here, I'll back up a little so you can see me better. Just pull on the wrist. Feel that tugging. Breathe in through the nose at the same time. Oh, you have to do the nose breathing part. You can back up even more. Keep backing up, breathing through the nose. You can take a few breaths, breathing through the nose. And then end by swinging the pendulum back and forth. Whew, let's do one last one, and then we'll check it out. So again, reconnect, get that feeling on your palm. Breathe in through your nose. Here we go. Tug a little harder, pull back, straight away from it, slowly feel the resistance against the palm. Breathing through the nose, up into the pineal. And then swing the pendulum. Okay, you can feel it. You can do a different angle if you want. Breathing through the nose. And you can do that for a while. But even that's probably enough. See, now I'm moving my wrists around. And my wrists, mind you, were pretty tight to begin with because I was lifting weights yesterday. And my left wrist here is super smooth compared to my right one. Try that. Try moving them both simultaneously, Stephen, and see if you can feel a difference.
Yeah, it's definitely very much more smooth. There's,
It's
I
yeah,
was also doing some weightlifting, and so I can feel some tension patterns in my right.
yeah. So it's really neat. And what'll happen if someone had like knee pain at like a 5 or something, typically in just that amount of time, it might have gone down to a 3 or a 2. And then you can do more of that and even more happens. And when you do that pendulum technique, the bridge is very strong between your blissful shifted state that you created by breathing through your nose up into the pineal and doing that on your wrist. So you can do that part there without the authentic precision feeling. And the precision feeling is an add-on, which you can either do separately or as part of it. If you were doing that and then you were able to simultaneously start doing the precision feeling, it could make it even more powerful.
Hmm.
Yeah.
So a few things. So what are you perceiving when somebody's doing this with energy pendulum? So you're creating like a little energy sort of a virtual version of a pendulum that's going through
Yes,
the
a
hand.
virtual exactly. That's what I see. It often shows up as green, like a green string with a very bright green glow coming off of it. And I'll see it, an oppositional side will either be green or gold. And then at the end, I always see like a golden droplet, this kind of swinging in opposition, right?
Hmm.
But yeah, so it's unaffected by gravity. The only thing it's affected by is what direction you're tugging with your hand, and then the
Uh-huh.
pendulum's in the other direction.
So if you're doing like the knee or something like it doesn't have to be verticalized. You don't have to
No, you could pull on your knee from the side, and the pendulum would go out in opposition on the other side, and it spreads out further as you back your hand up, and it shrinks down as you kind of go back closer.
Hmm.
Yeah.
So why is it important to sort of like penetrate through a joint like that so that you're sort of have something going on each side?
You know, one of the things that's a big differentiator between effective energy work and less effective energy work is this concept of paying attention to the inside of the tissue. A lot of people, when they get distracted by the light photons bouncing off the surface of the skin. So if you look at my shoulder, if you're going to work on my shoulder with this, you're just considering probably my shirt, right? But you want to be
Uh-huh.
looking at the shoulder socket. So when you're doing this pendulum going all the way through, now you're working on the knee joint or the shoulder
Uh-huh. You're
socket
kind
or
of
the wrist
you're
bone.
almost using that visualization of a virtual pendulum to extend your awareness through something.
Yes, exactly, exactly. And to have this, and it adds in something else too, which is you're pretty smart, Stephen. You've seen a lot of these courses. So there's a secret extra part as to why it works, which is that when you're tugging like this and you're aware of the pendulum on the other side, you're also invoking two things simultaneously in your mind, which some modalities refer to as a 2 point. And so by
Hmm.
having 2 points simultaneously going in your mind, that's an extra bonus overlay where it puts you into a more quantum state. You're putting it into a more wave state. We're getting really out there, but
Hmm.
you're putting it into a more wave state. And so for like brief microseconds, the wrist is going into a wave state and then reforming. And as it reforms, it's reforming along a higher vibrational line because you're doing the breathing up to the pineal gland and you're in a high vibration state.
Hmm.
So
That's
it
really
adds this wave-like aspect to it, where it basically is like melting and reforming, melting and reforming, melting and reforming, microsecond by microsecond. And the pendulum is what makes that happen. It's the other side of it is holding
wow.
those two
That's
things in
very
your consciousness.
sophisticated. That's deeper down the rabbit hole there.
That was definitely not. I didn't think you were going to go there today.
Well, I like it. And in ways, sort of the master pump of the energy is sort of keep the breath going to the pineal gland
Yes,
and sort of
yes.
like
You have to. Yeah,
then the pendulum sort of extends that into where it's most needed in many ways.
yeah. Yeah, and it also gets you aware of 2 points at once. You're tugging here and you're aware of the pendulum on the other side, but then you're also aware of the wrist while you're aware of your hand. So you're aware of a lot of different things simultaneously. And that in and of itself puts you in a wave state, very similarly to the way that like binaural beats do. When people are listening to like a 4/4 rhythm and then a 3/4 rhythm simultaneously, kind of puts you in this meditative state. Being aware of these different things simultaneously will put you in a similar meditative state as an overlay to your third eye breath,
Hmm.
your brain breathing.
I think that's truly fascinating. And the pendulum works regardless whether you're working on your own body or if you're doing that with
Correct.
somebody else's body too.
This is ultra powerful with what your audience has right now. They could go out and work on people with this. They could work on themselves with this, their family. Like this is something they've already got that they could do
Hmm.
on anyone. They could do it on themselves, on any part of the body. Yeah, totally safe.
So I wasn't it's going back to some of the moving it around kind of, so share a little bit more of the theory of like, is that just sort of like getting tissues from different angles and sort of filling in an energy field, or is there a particular
Right.
kind of cycling or circling that's optimal?
I thought you might ask about that. that one, I'm like, I can see the question forming in your brain. You're like, why are we doing this? Why aren't we just pulling? Well, a couple things. I like to go from different angles. Okay. So it kind of gets you going from a different angle. I find that if you do the same angle continuously, it can start to get stagnant. So I like to switch up the angle. So I'll tug from this way for a while, then this way, then this way. It also reminds me that pendulum is there. That's why I mostly do it. When I move the hand back and forth, I want to feel the weight of that counterbalance on the opposite side. That's really putting my awareness on both sides of the wrist. So if you think about it this way, it's kind of the pendulum's always swinging in the opposite direction of whichever way you're tugging. So you get multiple angles, and it reminds you the pendulum is there. So I don't want you to think that there's just a string from the wrist to your hand. The pendulum is important.
Uh-huh. And that
Yeah.
extends it all the way through.
Yeah.
I'd love to get a few examples of people that you've worked on in this way and what was able to shift as a result.
I mean, the list is endless. It's an endless list. I love this for joints. I have people I've worked on that everything's just gone to zero from pretty high level, from 7, 8 out of 10. And in 15, 20 minutes, they go down to like 6 at first, and there's 2 points left. And by the way, even if I get them down to within 2 points with any other modality that I know or teach, I'll use this to just like get it to zero. That's when I'll just do this for the last, and I really carefully breathe up into the pineal gland, and I really kind of am aware of that tug in the pendulum, and it'll just drop to zero. And this is, people have had like frozen shoulder that will only go up to here, and then like afterwards their arms going all the way up. So it's really good for joints, muscle structures. I've done this on internal organs. But like the really obvious benefits are when you've got something like a sore joint or like a sore muscle or something, and you do this, and then you can really see the points dropping, and usually quite quickly. And then the more you practice it, of course, the better you get. I will do this on the whole spine. I mean, in the old days when I had in-person sessions at my house, I would do this for the entire skeleton of the person's body, and I would get the whole. I would imagine like a spirit version of their skeleton floating up out of their body, and then it would just start to wave back and forth, and then I would allow it to gently float back in. It was as if the pendulum had gently temporarily pulled out this blueprint of their body up and out of their body, so I could work directly on the blueprint, and then it would float back into their body, and then they would just be in a really blissful state.
Hmm.
Yeah.
That's amazing. That sounds really cool. Your template would float out of the body, and then you're sort of
Yeah, it was like the
moving on
template kind of would emerge if I did the whole body, right? It wouldn't do it as much if I was just working on a knee, but if I did like, I would start at the feet and kind of work my way up the whole body, the whole blueprint would float up and out. And
Is
then
it?
there, yeah,
Do you get similar effects with even working at a distance? It doesn't. It's,
absolutely. Yeah. And I mean, these days I'm working almost exclusively remotely. It's amazing how powerful remote work is. And you can do this remotely on anyone. And it's fantastic. We're not talking about Newtonian here, physics. We're talking about quantum. we're talking about remote work being really common these days. And what's so great is that what I love is that when people practice it with people remotely. So if they have any doubts, they get those doubts erased right away because they try it on their friend who's in a different state, and then their friend will report back to them that their pain has gone down and so on and so forth. And if you do that enough times, you do that 10 times, and 10 times in a row someone's pain goes down, well, then you have your own sense of knowing that remote work is powerful.
Mm-hmm.
And you know what I found really fascinating, Stephen, is we had this event a few years ago. You may or may not remember it, where we all had to stay home, right? And I used to be teaching just in a lot of in person. And when that all wrapped up, I resumed teaching in person. And what I found was that people who learned stuff online actually became more powerful than people who learned in person. And that was very fascinating to me because I was thinking, wouldn't just being in the presence of the teacher make it easier to learn, so on and so forth? But what I found was that working remotely, people could not subconsciously think they were just like doing a massage or something, right? There was no way to kind of trick themselves into thinking they were doing something physical. They had to embody the belief system that they were working just with energy. And that embodiment of that understanding ended up making the students even more powerful.
Hmm.
So I find that not only does it work remotely, but that from a learning experience, people learn it better when they're practicing on other people remotely.
Oh, that's truly fascinating. A little
Which, yeah,
side benefit of the pandemic there that
yeah,
people
and
did.
very relevant to your
Yeah.
organization's course offerings. I think this would apply to any modality being offered by Shift.
Mm-hmm.
People who are learning it, over Zoom, et cetera, are actually potentially quite likely, I would say, going to learn it better remotely than they would if they were learning in person.
Is there anything else you want to share about the method? If there's like certain more challenging or traumatic things that come up as a result of doing this third eye brain breathing, or anything that you want people to know about that?
Well, I mean, there's nothing that really ever comes up during the brain breathing that's anything other than blissful. It's just really, really a positive experience. I think that the authentic precision feeling really benefits from some guided practice. Some people have taken it and run with it. I showed a group of people just that aspect about 3 weeks ago, and I got several emails saying that thing you taught me in 10 minutes has changed my life. So, some people just run with it. But what I really like to do is guide people a little bit in a more structured teaching of how to do the precision feeling. And when they'll do that, they'll release months and years of past traumas in a matter of weeks and in a matter of hours. But then, if you do that repetitively, you get to the point where it becomes part of your life. And so, anything that happens in your life, you just view it as another opportunity to do some precision feeling, no matter what it is. And that just leads you to greater and greater presence, greater awakening, and that just leads to all good things.
Hmm.
So yeah, I mean, are there some pitfalls to avoid if you're doing precision feeling by yourself without any other training? If people have a big backlog of unfelt things, sure, you've got it's better to have someone guide you through it initially, but it's the kind of thing that you can learn to do really well really quickly with a little bit of guidance.
Hmm. Well, Tyler, your enthusiasm is really infectious, and I love the practical dimensions of this and how it's
Yeah.
really proved itself out. So let's talk about your upcoming course, which is really an opportunity to learn the full practice in a very structured way, so you can get the maximum benefit. We're very
Yeah.
excited about this. As we mentioned earlier, Tyler has been wanting to bring this out for some time, and it's now time to really bring this set of teachings and practices out. And he's doing so with us, which we're grateful for. So the course is going to be
Fantastic.
called The Ultimate Energy Bliss Shift, a holistic journey of energetic healing, joy, and presence. You can find it at the URL at expressenergyhealing.com, expressenergyhealing.com. This is a 7-week program. You don't have to have a background as an energy healer, although energy healers are welcome to add to your toolkits and advance your understanding as
Yeah.
well. So this is just available whoever feels called based upon what you're hearing here or when you read the page or your own intuitive inner guidance. So Tyler, I'd love for you to share in your own words about some of the intentions you have for what people will come away with from this course, and then we'll go through the modules and give a preview of what's coming.
Yeah. So, um, I used to teach this course by invite only. And it was just so advanced that I always wanted to teach it to people who were experienced energy workers. And what I've done over the last 2 years is I've just built in the experience you would need to take advantage of the most advanced parts into a single comprehensive course. And that redesign was tested. I taught it a few times to people who were just absolute beginners, who had never done energy work, as well as to experienced energy workers. And it ended up being a really beautiful offering and something I've been wanting to bring out to the masses for literally a decade. So these courses that were basically secret courses, they wouldn't be posted anywhere. I would just call a few people or email a few people individually, and I would, teach these formats. This has now been brought public, and it's being offered to you now in this format. And it is the pinnacle of energy work. It's the way to presence as a side bonus, though that could be the whole purpose of the course. It's a side benefit. And what we're going to do is we're going to learn these fantastic energy work techniques that incorporate things like precision feeling. And then as a byproduct of doing the energy work, we're going to drop into a state of presence, tiptoe by tiptoe by tiptoe over the 7 weeks. And you're going to emerge in a state that's just super blissful with a new life practice that helps you not only do energy work, but do life. So I'm really excited. I cannot tell you how excited I am to teach this course. I've been looking forward to this for years. I can't wait.
That's awesome.
Let's go
So
through it.
module
Yeah.
1 is called Shift into Bliss to experience the art of healing through joy.
Yeah. So first thing first, you want to be in a high vibration state. And, I've been doing these webinars for like 5 years now. And one of them is about pure joy. And that webinar is the most popular one I do because what we do is several different techniques to just put you into a state of absolute bliss, basically on command. And so that's what the first module is about. We're going to use various different techniques, some of them visualization techniques, short guided meditations. We're going to do the breath that we just did here up to the pineal gland. But we're also just going to find all the different ways that you can put yourself into a state of joy. And we're going to put ourselves into a super, super, super joyful state. And that's kind of the baseline upon which we're going to build the rest of the course, is that we're doing this from a place of playfulness and a place of fun and a place of joy. And that right there, if you hold that vibrational frequency in life and during your sessions, that sets the stage for success on all levels.
Module 2, enter a deeper state of joy and healing with radial brain breathing.
Okay, so radial brain breathing is the advanced version of the pineal breath that we just did today, where we were up to the third eye. And what we're going to do is we're going to move into various different directions throughout the brain to open you into an even greater state. I call this either the shifted state or, primarily I call it the shifted state, the blissful shifted state. And we're going to move through all these different areas of the brain, not just the pineal gland. And when we cover all of those in a sequence, we'll find that you get into an even more powerful state. And then if you go back and do the pendulum and stuff like that, you'll find your pendulum's even more powerful. And that is the foundation of this energy modality in terms of all the other techniques that are going to build upon that. Yeah.
Module 3, experience inner freedom and manifest faster with Tyler's joyful emotional healing system.
Right. So this is the full guided practice of the authentic precision feeling that we just did. I was just, talking to you, Steve, about how there's times, Stephen, when you are moving through something heavier, that it's really helpful to have some guidance and some structure. So this is the module where I teach the full structure. How do you do it? How do you do the emotion healing part? And how do you make a point of arriving at a state of bliss and freedom at the end of each emotion releasing session? So this is how to do self-emotional healing. In an advanced setting, you might coach someone else on how to do this. And this is also the foundation for beginning to incorporate precision feeling into your energy work for others. So there's 2 points to doing this. One is for your own emotional healing. The other is to amplify the power of your healing work for others or for yourself, physical healing I'm talking about. But this is the guided structure, is module 3. And we'll go through the whole thing in great detail in that course, in that module. Yeah.
Module 4, advanced healing through presence awareness and intuition.
Okay, here's where we get into both the theory, but also the practice of using presence as a way to heal in and of itself. And I mentioned briefly earlier on the call today that when you're in a state of presence, that's healing for someone. That if someone just considers your existence, that's healing for you if they are in a state of presence. And what we're going to do here is we're going to do some very powerful techniques to put you in a state of presence. And one of the key, most important discoveries of this modality is a technique that is allowing you to enter a state of presence through breath work alone. Now, you normally think of a state of presence as something you have to achieve over 20 years of meditation, right? And this technique can put you there as if you're going in through a side door into a state of presence, and you'll just find yourself there. It's incredibly blissful. And once you've gone there through the side door, you can then go through the front door because you know where you're going. It takes a little longer to get there. But we're going to practice both getting to that state of pure presence and then using that state of pure presence as a way to do healing work all by itself, even without doing anything else.
Cool. Module 5, gently engage your auric field and learn new techniques for resolving life issues.
Yeah. So here we're getting into the weeds, so to speak. When you're doing authentic precision feeling, or when you're working on a life issue that's kind of like, I don't know, it's a little bit harder to resolve, there are ways to kind of go around whatever the block is and work on it from a different place. And so what we're doing is we're using something I call indirection, where instead of working on the issue either physically in your body or in your emotional state, we're finding where it is in the auric field and we're working on it there. And this is great because, among other things, it gets you out of your head, because for a minute there, you can just forget that you're working on this thing that maybe has a lot of, emotions tied to it. You're like, I'm not working on this life issue. I'm just working on this little spot up and to the right in my auric field. And not only is that fun, it gets the job done without you having to kind of engage too directly with something that maybe is either not moving as fast as you want, or something that causes some kind of emotional trauma to consider it, right? So this is a great way. I call it one form of indirection. It's a way to work on something without getting pulled into the drama surrounding the issue, and they just make it a fun thing to do, and it works fantastically well.
Module 6, activate your original blueprint to manifest health, joy, and your heart's deepest desires.
Yeah. So, and this is similar to the blueprint I talked about earlier in today's call that I floated up out of the body. But in this case, we're just going to find the blueprint that was your original, pure, healthy, happy, positive, super joyful human that you were when you were born. Like, just think of a baby and how they, you give them your pinky finger and you smile at them and all of a sudden they're laughing and joking. Well, that's who we all are. And that core is in all of us. And that original blueprint of health is in all of us. And so what we do is we begin to connect this core of pure blueprint, pure presence, and move it closer to yourself, closer to you. And then any resistances that occur as you start to draw this together, those can be released either through authentic precision feeling, or through pure presence, or some of the techniques we've learned earlier in the course. And it's just another way to do really powerful healing on a whole body, global level, spiritual level, emotional level, and physical level simultaneously.
Beautiful. And then finally, module 7, experience a healing state of presence that illuminates your purpose by combining previous techniques with the breath of presence.
Yes. So here we're going to go deep, really deep. It's module 7. We've arrived. We've practiced this. This particular course has these breakout room sessions where everybody is working in groups of 2 throughout or 3 with each other optionally, right? But all those practice sessions have led people to get their confidence at this point. And then we do a deep dive on what I call the breath of presence. And as it puts you into a state of presence that is so deep, you're not going to want to leave that state. You're going to be in the state that is just so incredibly blissed out in presence. And that's when you realize in those moments, that's when you want to work on your family, your loved ones, the people you care about the most, because you're so powerful and you're in that state. And that's when we've brought it all together. We've started to use various different energy techniques to put ourselves into a high vibration state. We've created a bridge that connects you with your client or a part of your body. We've released any negative emotions, and we've put ourselves into a state of presence. And when you put those three together, you're at the complete healing modality. You're at the complete ability to do the most effective energy work that I've ever uncovered. And it's actually something you can absolutely learn and do, and just emerge in a state of absolute bliss with a new practice, a new way of working, and add it to your existing practice or start a whole new one. It's the pinnacle.
What a gift
Yeah.
to be able to have access to all that you've learned in these last 16
Yeah.
years and really
Yeah.
synthesized in this methodology. So really great stuff, Tyler. And again, it's all at detail at expressenergyhealing.com. I'll share a few more things about the course, which is going to have the 7 90-minute live sessions with Tyler, which is going to include real precise transmissions of the practices. You can ask questions live. You can do experiments with each other. There'll also be recordings of these sessions, both video and audio, as well as word-for-word transcripts to work with, study, and highlight. There are weekly practices you'll get for doing at home. There's a Facebook community group to support you and deepen your experience, as well as small group time to connect with other participants. And on the page, you'll also see a number of other great bonuses that Tyler has been very generous in adding to the program. There's a video teaching called the wrist process for immunity. You want to share more about that?
So this is the technique that it's part of my legacy. It's part of my work. I tell people there's probably 7 career level discoveries that I've made over the 16 years, maybe 8. And this is one of them. And it's a technique designed to prevent you from getting ill in the first place. If you do it at the very first sign of anything coming on, or if you just do it preventatively in advance. And it's a way to work with the meridian system in the wrist to energize your entire bloodstream. If you think about it, where would you take your pulse? You'd take your pulse right here by that thin area of the skin by the wrist. And it's a way of, it's a little bit more yang, in that you're cranking energy on your wrist and up towards your elbow in a specific pattern. And it's tremendously powerful at keeping yourself healthy. And so it's a big immune system booster. Some people just do it preventatively every single day. I do it. I don't do it every day, but I do it if I ever get any inkling, no matter what, that I could have been exposed to something or whatever. I do this process with my wrists, and I've found it to just be incredibly effective. And there's a full description of how to do it with me guiding you through it. If you forgot how to do it, you could just watch the video and do it along with me. I've never ever given away a video of this before in this kind of format for you to keep. And so there it is. It's a bonus. Yeah.
That's awesome bonus. Then there's a second bonus called Guided Practice in Remotely Sensing Energy Layers and Densities. It's a video teaching. You want to share more about that, Tyler?
Yep. So one of the things that occurs once you start to get into precision feeling is that you'll find your pineal gland begins to open even more, and your ability to sense your own body and other things remotely starts to improve as well. And I would love it if you guys watch this like either before or maybe after the first module of the course, because what this does is it trains you to remotely sense density. It could be a faraway density or nearby. And that can help your energy work on either yourself or others, because if some area feels dense to you, that's when you're going to apply the various different techniques to it. The breath to the pineal, the precision, authentic feeling of your reaction to the density, and then also your state of presence. So you're going to apply those 3 things to any density. So this is really good training and also a really fun guided meditation. So yeah, it's really good as an overlay to do periodically throughout the course.
That's a great extra bonus as well. And then there's one final bonus that we're very excited about that is your special bonus if you sign up right away by midnight tonight Pacific time. There's a video teaching from Tyler called the Quantum Bow Healing. Share more about that quantum bow healing.
I feel like I'm giving away too much in this course as a bonus here, Stephen. So I have another modality called quantum bow healing. And in this video, I basically tell you how to do the whole modality, right? So I pretty much give away the kernel of the modality itself. And so literally, if you just watch that video alone, you're getting an entire another modality on top of what you'll learn in this course just by having that recording. That recording alone is worth the price of this course, if not more. And you could just watch that maybe 2 times, 3 times, and you'll have an entire another modality. And you're going to use that modality as the way to do the wrist process. By the way, that's the way you do the wrist process, is using that modality ideally, or another yang sending modality. And it's just incredibly powerful. It's an incredibly powerful way to work on bones, bone alignment, muscle pain, so on and so forth. And I'm just giving away the kernel of it, the most important part, for free as a bonus with this course if you sign up today.
Mm. Well, what an awesome extra bonus. And
Yeah.
this is clearly packed with so much value. I love that you're a little nervous. It's too much value. That's a good
I know. It's just like, yeah, it's
Anyways, that's a
okay.
good sign. So it's all, you can find all more detail on all this at expressenergyhealing.com. And so clearly Tyler's bringing his best forward for this, and you are going to get some amazingly powerful practices. So we've kept the investment for this program very accessible. It's just 3 payments of $128, or you save 10% when you pay in full with 1 payment of $349. The course is going to start August 14th and run Thursdays at 1 Pacific, 4 Eastern. But even if you can't make the live times, you can still get the full value with the recordings and the transcripts and the
Yeah.
community.
Yeah.
So great testimonials from Tyler's previous programs. He's really committed to giving you what works and harvesting all of what he knows, and giving it to you in a really precise way that allows you to
Yeah.
turn it into practices that can be healing for yourself and others. So again, it's all at expressenergyhealing.com, and you'll get that special quantum bow healing when you sign up by midnight tonight.
Yeah.
So Tyler, it's been great. I also just love your enthusiasm for this work, and all of it's like there's a real spirit of discovery that
Yeah.
sharing here.
This is my favorite thing, and it's the pinnacle of energy work. It's the best thing, and I would invite you guys to join. Come take the class. You get a recording of this, a durable recording, and you can watch it a few times, and I mean, you could really transform your practice and your life with this, and authentic feeling stuff. Just everything starts to smooth out. Like, come take the course.
Beautiful. Well, thank you, Tyler, for a beautiful hour together, and so much wisdom and really practical energy healing tools that really can make such a difference. So,
Yeah.
thank you all for joining. And again, if you'd like to go further into Tyler's new program, which is called the Ultimate Energy Bliss Shift, a holistic journey of energetic healing, joy, and presence, you can do so at expressenergyhealing.com, and you'll get that special quantum bow healing if you sign up by midnight tonight. So thank
Always a
you so much.
pleasure being with you, Stephen, every single time. I love chatting with you.
Yeah, it's so great.
And a
Thanks,
pleasure being
Tyler.
with all of you guys. All
Yeah.
right. Bye.